Good morning. Welcome to LoFi listening on this fine Wednesday. Well, it's a Wednesday for me. And therefore, I have not yet read my Bible this morning, and maybe you haven't either. So I hope you can join me. Therefore, remember that formerly you who are Gentiles by birth and called uncircumcised by those who call themselves the circumcision, that which is done in the body by human hands, remember that at that time you were separate from Christ, excluded from citizenship in Israel, and foreigners to the covenants of the promise, without hope and without God in the world. Wow, right off the bat, there's some stuff there. So these people that he's writing to, these Ephesians, whoever they are not Jewish by birth, and therefore they cop a bit of curry from this group, the circumcision. They get called uncircumcised like it's an insult. Like I don't know if you've David and Goliath, if you remember that story, but David, calling this uncircumcised Philistine. It's sort of, I think, almost like synonymous with filthy. By those who call themselves the circumcision. So people he's writing to copped it. Insulted by a certain group, and Paul quickly qualifies what that means. So he's saying, hey, look, when we talk about this circumcision thing, we're not talking about something that actually changes your status with God. We're talking about something that's purely human, which we've so far had established human things and not human efforts are not capable of enlivening anyone, and it's purely bodily, not spiritual in terms of making any significant change. And so there's this sort of bodily, physical, though bodily stuff matters, thing that some people were using to give themselves a sense of superiority, a way of putting other people down. And he's saying, well, that was you guys. You were the ones getting put down. And he's saying, hey, remember that at that time, you actually were separate from Christ. This is the thing. It wasn't a dodgy put down. You actually were separate from Jesus. They were excluded. Like, it's not like this was an unwarranted put down, as nasty and wrong wrong as it was for these guys to speak like that. It's true. They did not have a connection with the people of God, so Israel. They did not have any rights with God. They were excluded. They were foreigners. Foreigners particularly to the promises of God, the covenants of the promise, the way that God bound himself to act in certain ways towards his people. He was not bound to be merciful like that to anyone else. So God sort of said, hey, look, I promise I'm going to be merciful. I'm going to be kind. I'm going to bless you. I'm going to bring good. And so therefore he was not bound to do that to any of these people who are receiving this letter. There was no need for God to do anything gracious or kind towards them. And therefore, because of that, they actually had no hope. And they didn't have God. So no relationship with him, no hope, no expectation of goodness with God in the future, and no connection with God in the present, in the world. It's worth remembering for any non-Jew particularly what happened in the gospel when Jesus came and extended the promises of God out to any who would have faith in him, not just ethnic Israel. It's worth recognizing that as a Christian, whether you feel like you're the one who's always been a Christian your whole life, I think it's probably worth me stopping and recognizing I'm a Johnny-come-lately to this whole business, and I have no right to be adopted into the kingdom. No right whatsoever. There's no sense in which that was even on the cards for such a large part of human history. It is a privileged position that I'm in, that I've been brought close to God, and that just didn't have to be the case at all. How about we pray? Heavenly Father, thank you for this reminder of how far away from you, how I was, my family were before Mum and Dad became Christians, how few rights, how we had no rights to be with you, close to you, a part of your people in your kingdom, how we had no hope. Father, I pray that as I, and as everyone who's listening to this meditates on this, Father, meditates on this reality, that our thankfulness would increase, that our sense of privilege and joy in our privilege would increase, and therefore our sense of urgency at utilising it well for other people, that we would realise and hear you say, hey, remember how sort of filthy and on the outside and unqualified and without hope and foreign we were to you, but you came close to us and then brought us close to you. Amen.